You're going to yell at me. Um, Thank you for joining us for this Development Authority meeting. I call this meeting to order at 4 o'clock. The roll call, we have myself, Sean Allen, Dan, and David present. Absent today are Jack Nugent, Morgan Smith, and John Goss. The statement of purpose of the Development Authority of Alpharetta is granted the powers and jurisdictions through the State of Georgia's General Assembly and a resolution adopted by the City of Alpharetta, by the Alpharetta City Council on September 3rd of 1996. The function of this authority is to promote the public good and general welfare, trade, commerce, industry, general tax base, and the employment opportunities available in the city. Okay. We'll go to public comments.
We have not received any public comment cards.
Okay, since we haven't received any, is there anybody who would like to speak before we pass on? No? Okay, so we are going to move to the consent agenda, which includes the minutes from the meeting of June 3rd, 2025, and the financial management reports as of April 30th and May 31st, 2025. Do we have a motion for the consent agenda?
Move approval.
Second.
David made the motion for approval and Sean made the second. We will now cast our votes electronically, hopefully. Or maybe not. It's not coming up on, okay.
Just touch your screen, your little speaker screen.
I don't, oh, there it is. Okay, just wake it up. Just hit it to wake it up. There you go. You have to wake it up.
Touch this? Okay, gotcha. Okay, thanks.
Okay, and so that passes. Now we, was that all that we had on the consent? That was on the consent agenda. So now we're going to move into new business. The first new business item is the revenue note resolution for Dogwood Square LP. Charlie Jewell will give us an introduction to this item.
Good afternoon. So we have Dogwood Square LP is seeking a federal tax-exempt revenue note in the amount of $20 million or not to exceed that to support the financing, acquisition, and rehabilitation of an approximately 100-unit senior living affordable housing community located at 555 Janice Lane in Alpharetta. The authority adopted a bond inducement resolution for this project at your meeting last October, signaling your willingness to issue tax-exempt bonds to support the project, and Dogwood Square is ready to move forward on the project and is seeking the authority to approve the resolution authorizing the issuance of Revenue Note Series 2025A and 2025B, again, in the maximum aggregate principal not to exceed $20 million. It is the opinion of staff and the authority's legal counsel that the issuance of the requested note would further the public purpose for which the Development Authority was created. And at this time, I'll turn it over to Allison Dreyer with Holland & Knight to provide some more details on the issuance.
Thank you, everyone. As Charlie mentioned before you today is a note resolution. The form and substance were prepared by Holland & Knight. They've been reviewed by the entire working group. Attached to that resolution are the forms of the financing documents. This is not actually a loan from the Development Authority. You are what we call a pass-through issuer. So you will be passing through the proceeds of a loan from a private lender. Here it's Pinnacle Bank is actually originating the loan. The authority is fully indemnified. You are not obligors on the loan. You obviously have no taxing power, so you're not pledging your credit to the repayment of this debt. It's secured solely by the revenues of the project and a lien on the project. With us today from the developer is Glenda Leduc, Leduc, I got it, okay. Who is here to answer any questions you might have about the development itself, but I can first answer any questions you might have about the legal side. Okay, great.
Hopefully, it'll appear in a moment. It did this in test mode. Okay, that's my background. Why is it not? Let's try. Okay, great. Sorry about that. I just want to give you
One moment, Ms. Ledoux.
Yes.
Can we get it up on our screens, Mandy? Thank you.
Okay. Dogwood Square was a property that was built in 1987, and it's on approximately 3.46 acres, and it is 5 stories and is composed of 100 units of affordable housing, predominantly for the elderly, but there are certain units that are for those that are mobility impaired that are 18 years of age and older. It is covered by a Section 8 HAP contract that HUD has issued, and is really provides affordable housing for those that would be risk of non-housing and potentially homelessness without it. It is independent living. Currently, Dogwood Square offers a community room with a kitchenette, laundry room, interior gathering areas, and an outdoor gathering area as well. And these are some of the current pictures. And what we really want to do is we want to have the opportunity to do an acquisition rehab. Rebuild America has an entity which will be the general partner, which is a nonprofit entity that will partner with the investors and come together to do a renovation on the property. What we have in your packet here is some acquisition rehabs that we have done together with them historically, and you can see where we take things from where they are and do renovations afterwards. And so it's just pictures of examples as far as what will potentially look like. We generally go in and at any building, this building is 38 years old, and when it gets that age, it needs to be renovated because major systems decline. And so to have the financing necessary to do that becomes critical. We go in and add energy efficiencies with Energy Star appliances and really modernize it so that it becomes a community that the residents love to live in. And here is just an example of potential community areas as far as what they would look like. And we're not limited to necessarily doing what's in here, but it really makes it much more functional. A lot of things have changed since it was built 38 years ago and makes it more functional and a better living environment for the current residents that are there and the potential residents that come. It gives us the ability to do outside renovations as well, as far as adding areas that are more appealing. We have some outside areas currently, but we can add raised garden beds, we can add pavilions that are more conducive than the current exterior areas that we have because we've got the additional funding that's needed to be able to do that. The raised garden beds are an important amenity for the seniors that live there because they can't get down and maybe do things that are on the ground. And so those are the kind of things that we try to take into account to make sure that it is a community that really is conducive to those seniors. Who are the parties that are involved? Rebuild America, as I said, is a nonprofit organization that was founded in 2012, and their main thing is the preservation of affordable housing. They have single-member LLCs that they establish and set up to be the general partner of the partnership that is going to be the tax-exempt entity that will, the tax limited partnership that will acquire the property. They have successfully completed over 13 tax credit properties generating about $124 million of low-income housing tax credits and managing over $353 million in development. They've also closed on additional properties since that 13. Those are fully functional and operating that they're in the midst of rehabbing currently and renovating. So Mansmar Development is the development arm of Mansamar, and they have been what were founded in 1998 as a consulting company to work with owners that really wanted to do, and they serve as the development arm. And they partner with the developers for the development services to manage the construction contract, the acquisition, and the financing arm of that. Since 2012, Mansamar Development has focused on utilizing LIHTC for acquisition rehab developments to maximize the amount of rehab that's available on the properties. And they've completed 11 developments totaling approximately 1,387 units. And who are we? I am with Mansamar Incorporated, and we are the management company, and we partner, we're part of the development team, as well as we have managed the property since its inception in 1982, so since it was built, and we're pleased that we've been able to keep it in the condition that we have for the 38 years, but it really is a blessing to our residents and to the people of the community, as well as the community, with the rehab that we're able to do through preservation of affordable housing and continue to provide it. Will work together as far as relocation of the residents, because temporary relocation is necessary anytime you do this. When you have a fully occupied building, we've done that and have successfully done that in 16 tax credit developments, but we manage over 67 affordable housing communities in 14 states across the country. So we have extensive experience in working with these type of developments and making sure that not only is the process successful as you go through that, because anytime if you've done construction in your homes, you know the challenge that that can be, and for seniors it's even more challenging, but we make sure we're working with the entire team to make sure that we have addressed all those concerns, that we communicate with our residents before, leading up to, during, and after. And I can tell you, after completing successfully many developments, the residents are just amazed and just thrilled at what a blessing it is when we're able to preserve these communities. And then we're able to provide that affordable housing for another 20 years down the road. That kind of summarizes who we are. Our goal is to preserve and sustain affordable housing for Dogwood Square for another 20 to 30 years. That's what we want to accomplish together with you here today. And as we mentioned, once the acquired property undergoes substantial rehab, we'll be able to achieve that long-term goal as we work together for at least another 15 to 20 years. Thank you so much. And I'll take any questions.
Anybody have any questions? So when you do the rehab in there, the money that you have, is there anything besides the raised garden outside, anything exterior, parking lot, building, roof? I didn't know if there was a limit on what you can use those funds for.
There's not a limit. The problem is they're limited funds. So we would like to do everything that we can, and that's what we attempt to do, is to maximize that. And so when we go into a project, what we try to do is we go in and there's always, you've got to build in a contingency anytime you're doing a project of this sort. So we kind of go in, we value engineer, determine what we have funds to do, but we try to hold those contingency funds to the extent possible, and we go in with ideas. We call it our Christmas wish list of things that we want to add if we don't have to use those contingency funds, that we're able to do additional things. We are doing the garden beds. The parking lot will be redone. There's changes that will occur in there. We've got to do a retaining wall. We're going to do a new pavilion similar to the picture that I showed you, that will give more space and be more of a permanent type structure, so that the residents have outside areas that they can enjoy and really utilize more. So to the extent that we're able to add on and create savings, we'll do that and do additional items as well. The units themselves will be totally rehabbed new cabinets, new appliances, new flooring. And the big thing too is the community room itself. We plan on expanding that a little bit. Now it's kind of broken up and they have kind of a mini kitchen. But what we really want to have is we found with community, the more residents that we can get in there and have them be together, the more it really is good for their social interaction and the aging process and just their mental health as well. And so we have some architecture that will be changing to give us more capability to make that more of an open space that they can enjoy.
And one other question, you are going to be moving them out as work's being done, and I'm assuming you're probably going floor by floor for
Yes,
that.
the plan currently is, and typically we do this, the plan is we will start on the 5th floor and then you'll renovate down 5th, 4th, 3rd, and it'll be done in sections. So you won't do the entire 5th floor at one time. It'll be done in wings.
Right. So when you relocate them, I don't know, does Dogwood provide any transportation to their residents there, or are they self?
No, we don't,
Okay.
and a lot of our residents do participate in the senior centers and things like that, and so they have transportation that they have worked out, themselves, but
Okay.
we don't do that. But we will work with them during the relocation. What we try to do is we will relocate them, and typically it's hotels that are outside, and when we make those selections, we make sure that for the time period, and if they need transportation to get from Dogwood to wherever we temporarily relocate them, we provide that, and we will provide, of course, the move out and move back in services as a part of the relocation plan. But when we determine those, we try to locate those in areas so that they have access to the same things that they would have access to if they were in their apartment, and they get an allowance for food and things like that, and we make sure that they're, that is close so that it's within walking distance, that they would have that if they don't have transportation. A lot of them do drive, and so they have their own transportation and they'll utilize that, but to the extent they don't, we work with them to make sure that's covered.
And when do you anticipate a start date?
Hopefully,
Your wish list.
Our hope is to close August 28th is our hope, and then we would start the process as soon as we could after that, and it'll just go in various phases as far as what that construction phase will look like. Some of it will be common areas, and then we'll start the units, and then there's a schedule that the contractor gives us, and we work through those.
Okay, thank you.
Okay,
Does anybody
you're
else have
welcome.
any questions?
Do you have a hard date you have to be done for the tax credits?
Well, our plan is to deliver those credits in 2026, so our goal would be done, but we do have the ability to carry those forward if for any reason we're not able to complete and deliver those by that time.
Anyone else? Okay. Do I have a motion to adopt the revenue note resolution for Dogwood Square LP?
I move the Alpharetta Development Authority adopt the revenue note resolution for Dogwood Square LP.
I have a motion by Sean, a second by Dan. Now we can cast your votes. And it has passed with 4-0. Congratulations. Now we are going to move on to the consideration of the amendment and restated land use restriction agreement, LWV TPA Lakeview Residents. Charlie, you're going to give us an introduction on this item, please?
Yeah, thank you. LWV TPA Lakeview Residents, LLC, so I'll just reference that as Lakeview Residents for short, is seeking changes to the amended and reinstated land use restriction agreement, which is also referred to as ALURA, so I'll abbreviate that through my comments, for the Eden at Lakeview project located at 4115 Lake Street in Alpharetta. In 2022, the authority entered into a bond leaseback transaction with Lakeview Residences to provide an ad valorem tax, property tax incentive to stimulate the construction of a mixed-use building, including multifamily and retail space in the Lakeview development, Construction for that project began in 2022 and was completed in 2024. Pursuant to the terms of the 2022 lease agreement that the authority has, Lakeview Residences is seeking changes to the LORA to clarify language within the original agreement. The LORA is a city requirement tied to the zoning ordinance, the zoning conditions for the rezoning. The City of Alpharetta Community Development Department has reviewed the changes and has found them to be in compliance with the zoning conditions that were approved for that property. Staff, in consultation with the authority's legal counsel, recommends the authority approve the amended and reinstated LORA as permitted encumbrance under existing lease between Lakeview Residences and the authority, and authorize the chair to execute all necessary documents. Before I turn it back to the floor to you, Madam, I'll ask Melissa if there's anything she would like to add.
Thank you, Charlie. I don't really have anything to add. Some of you may remember that I think the original LURA came before you all for approval back a year or so ago, and it's my understanding that this is just, as Charlie said, a clarification, and the city has approved it. It's solely based on their zoning condition, and the authority is just before you all because this is going to be recorded in the property index, and we're just getting that stamp of approval as the fee title holder.
Okay, does anybody have any questions, either for Charlie or for Melissa? Okay. Anybody want to make a motion?
I move, go ahead.
You got it, you got it.
Second.
Okay, so we have a motion by Dan, a second by David. We are going to go ahead and vote. And that passes 4-0. Our next item on the agenda is the resolution regarding the transfer of the LWV TPA Lakeview LLC Series 2002 taxable revenue bond. Turn my page, and that goes back to Charlie.
Yep, thank you. This item is also related to the Eden at Lakeview project located at 4115 Lake Street in Alpharetta. Again, in 2022, the Development Authority entered into a bond leaseback transaction with Lakeview Residents LLC to provide an ad valorem property tax incentive for the purposes of stimulating the mixed-use development that would include multifamily and retail. Lakeview Residences and Alpharetta Acquisitions LLC have entered into a real estate purchase and sell agreement in which Alpharetta Acquisition will purchase the interest in that project. Both entities request that the authority approve the sale and transfer of the Eden at Lakeview project and the assignment of the documents entered into with the authority in connection to the existing tax incentive for the project. Lakeview Residences has confirmed that the project has been constructed and stabilized. So as I mentioned in the last item, it was completed in 2024, and currently, as of this month, they shared that the project is currently 93% leased at this point. In consultation with legal, we do recommend adoption of the resolution regarding the transfer of the Lakeview Residences Series 2022 taxable revenue bonds, and authorize the chair to execute, vice chair today to execute all necessary documents. And at this time, I'll turn it over to Allison Dreyer with Holland & Knight to provide additional details.
Hi. Again, this is an existing property. The current owner is selling the property pursuant to the rights that they have under the existing agreements. We're simply here before you today to authorize the execution and delivery of the documents they need for that transfer. And we'll be going to the tax assessors in 2 days' time to get them to execute their amendment to the tax MOA. And there's really nothing else substantive to make you aware of legally. Representatives from the purchaser at Aries are here if you have any questions about who they are and what they plan to do. Otherwise, I'm happy to answer legal questions.
Anybody have any questions? No, no questions? Do we have a motion?
I move the Alpharetta Development Authority adopt the resolution regarding the transfer of LWV TPA Lakeview LLC Series 2022 taxable revenue bonds.
Oh, we have a motion by Sean, a second by Dan. We will now cast our votes electronically. And we are 4-0 that it passes. We're going to now move into our partner update. The City of Alpharetta's Economic Development Director, Charlie Jules, will provide an update on the department.
Yeah, thank you again. Quick update, a couple updates. So as you saw in the meeting notice, unfortunately, Charlotte has let us know that she's relocating out of Metro Atlanta and will be leaving the city. So she'll be with us through August 8th. So the Development Authority is scheduled to have another meeting before then, so August 5th. But I hope between now and the end of her time with us that you send her a note and just thank her for her service, not only to the city, but to the Development Authority as well. We're actively have the Economic Development Manager position open. We began interviewing first-round applicants last week and hope to have some more details to share in the coming weeks and identify someone qualified and a good partner for you all within our department. So stay tuned on that. At your seat, you should have gotten a little card I wanted to share with you. So as I mentioned at last month's meeting, I attended on behalf of the department the Bio International Conference up in Boston last month. And as part of that, Mandy worked with her to come up with a new marketing piece that I could kind of walk around with and share. We also attended Metro Atlanta Chamber, held a reception for about 100 people that they were able to get there. So we essentially followed up with all of them, shared the marketing pitch for why Alpharetta is a great place for life sciences. And the brochure was very helpful because, as you deal with different sectors, each one of them have varying interest and requirements. So this piece really helped us kind of hone down what we believe the advantages are specifically to that sector. So you'll see some stats on there about the city of employment, our flexible zoning as it relates to office and lab space, as well as featuring some of the local companies that we have here. So just wanted to share that as something, as an update for you. Things that are coming up. So this Thursday, Mandy and I will actually be tabling at the 3rd Annual Economic Development Brunch. That's in Atlanta and hosted by contractors, closers, and connectors. So they are an organization, national organization that has a chapter in Metro Atlanta, really for corporate real estate professionals. So it's a good demographic for us to get in front of, to let them know that we do have opportunities, particularly in office, for different companies and tenants to consider. So we'll be tabling there. It won't only be us there. They reached out to a lot of cities and counties in Metro Atlanta, but we'll be exhibiting there, and Mandy's been working on updating our pull-up banners and getting a new table cloth and things like that. So we'll be there this week. And then next month, we'll be attending the 2025 FinTech South Conference, and that's in Atlanta as well. It's put on by TAG, which is the Technology Association of Georgia. That entire conference is really around the FinTech sector. So we'll be exhibiting there, again, with pull-up banners to promote the city. But as part of that pitch, it'll be to kind of spotlight the fintech sector that we have here, which, as you all probably are aware of, makes up a good portion of our tech sector here in the city. So we'll be there just, again, to raise the banner for the city in that specific industry and hope to raise the visibility for not only companies that may already be in Alpharetta, but companies that may not be familiar with us as kind of a fintech hub within even Metro Atlanta. And with that, that concludes my partner update. I'd be happy to answer any questions if you all have any.
I'm going to start if you don't mind. Just real quick on this brochure here. Do we have any overlays or maps or heat maps or something so that we can let people know where those locations are for the lab and R&D spaces?
We currently do not, but that's a project that Mandy's currently working on. And that actually, there is another update. So hopefully you got the Connected Alpharetta newsletter. Forgot about that as an update. But as part of that update each month, we'll be featuring a property within the city of Alpharetta. And that's as we continue to kind of get more familiar with what our real estate offerings are, we'll be in a better position to start categorizing those things, because it is a powerful marketing tool, not only to identify where those are, but to help market it as it relates to different sectors. Because as you're alluding to, typically life science companies, they don't just need office space, they need a lab space, which could be wet or dry lab space. The challenge just initially, based on where my understanding of what we have available in the city, we don't have a lot of built-out lab space currently. So one of the things that we're trying to feature, and even on that brochure, is the changes that the city made to its research and development zoning, or not condition, but what's allowable through research and development in specifically office. And that does allow for companies to use up to 50% of a building, or if it's a multi-building campus, they can have 50% of the campus, which could all be one building, that could be used for lab space or even some light production. So in the life science space, if you have a pharmaceutical company, you need probably some lab space and some light manufacturing as well. So, so to kind of answer your question, that's something we're continuing to identify existing space, but from what we have on our radar right now, we don't have a lot. But again, trying to sell the flexibility that the city provides within existing office, or an office building, or an office site, or a site that's zoned for office, could open the door for a company in specifically life sciences.
And that would include, I mean, because when you start going to labs and research and that kind of stuff, going to have different requirements as far as power and that kind of stuff within the building, of whether or not that is accessible or to be able to be retrofitted to be able to host that.
Yeah, and that's some of the nuance that I'm hoping as we continue to get more familiar with our product. And when I say product, it's really, buildings or sites, but trying to identify where those opportunities are, because you're right, not every building may be suited for it. So trying to understand a little bit, and some of that comes as you deal with companies in a particular sector, because as they reveal the type of requirements that they have, it kind of helps educate you. And as you're exploring options for a building, it kind of helps you shake out what buildings have certain capacity that would support that type of use.
Thank you. Anybody else have questions? Sean?
I don't have a question, I just have a comment. I don't spend a lot of time in the tech world. Basically, I'm not smart enough to talk to those people. But I was in Las Vegas recently at a wedding, and was speaking to the bride's father, who's in Michigan, and one of her friends in Chicago, and one in San Francisco, who are all in the tech field. And when I said where I was from, no longer have to say Atlanta, I said Alpharetta, and all three of them began to tell me stories of how much work they'd done here, how many times they'd visited, how much they enjoyed it. And it was really kind of a cool, for me, being here to hear that people all across the U.S. were immediately like, oh, I know Alpharetta and love it. So anyway, great job with everything you're doing. I just wanted to pass along that little vignette, so.
Yeah, no, that's awesome feedback, and we certainly love when people reference us as our first name, which is Alpharetta, not where we might be near to. So that's great. Thank you.
Charlie, just curious, are you seeing office vacancy improve? I mean, is that beginning to come down?
So we are, and actually we were just looking at office vacancy this morning, Mandy and I. So currently, at least through Partners, and they're a real estate group, they do a quarterly office report for Metro Atlanta. And they've been kind enough to, where Alpharetta is technically included in the North Fulton submarket. And they're kind enough to parse out our data so that we can actually see where we are. So as of Q2 of this year, our vacancy rate in office was, it was, I think, 27.6. So in relation, so as you probably know, that's high, but coming out of the pandemic, you know, it's kind of comparatively, you have to look what the conditions are right now. So looking at that report into some of the other submarkets in Metro Atlanta, Midtown was over 30%, so we were less than them. Downtown was over 30%. Central Perimeter was in 27, so we were about on par with them. And then they had North Fulton, excluding Perimeter, at 30%. So we were actually lower than what the average is for us, including North Fulton. So just to kind of give you a snapshot of kind of where we are in terms of vacancy, there has been, I feel like, additional activity this year. Particularly the last few months. I was actually talking to a broker earlier this week, and he had mentioned that I think he said it was a stat like 80% of the Fortune 100 companies had essentially enforced a return to work, a return to office requirement. So and that has been some of the trend that we've seen, more and more companies are having or removing some of the remote complete option and having more, whether it's 3 days in a week or some combo, which is helpful because if you're bringing people back into the office, then you need office space. In terms of the office space, you know, the dynamics have shifted to where a lot of companies are developing more kind of collaboration space. So from what I've heard, at least from one broker, the square footage has gone up a tad over the past year because you need a little bit more, not only for people coming back in, but you need a place for, for people to meet and people to have calls, individual calls, and maybe a couple workspaces. So as those trends hopefully continue to emerge or continue, I think you'll start to see some office vacancy going down. The only other thing I would add is there does seem to be a bit of discrepancy in terms of companies who are looking for space that are seeking it in highly amenitized areas. So one of the challenges is if you have a kind of a older suburban office park that was kind of built prior to having some restaurants and retail and some other things, they're not as attractive to companies who are moving to get back into having more of a real estate footprint. So even when you look in the city, Avalon, that area is practically fully leased, very low vacancy, but some of the other areas of the city that are still with kind of the older suburban office layout are experiencing kind of higher vacancy rate at this time. So that's why projects, as we mentioned earlier this year with Brookside and the city working on the small area plan there, that was 155-acre suburban office park that coming out of the pandemic had higher vacancy rate, and city developed that plan to try to, at least signal that the city would be open to some other uses there, and that attracted some recent investment by Providence Group and some townhomes in there, and then Portman Holdings, which was approved for a rezoning where they're going to essentially tear down one office building on a property, renovate the other one, and mix in kind of a mixed-use environment. So I think there's opportunity there as it provides not only more amenities for that property, but for all of Brookside, it should help make it a little bit more attractive to tenants who are in the market.
Dan, do you have any questions or comments?
North Point, what's the latest on that? Just a synopsis.
Yeah, no really new updates on that other than, we were excited that Anson and the Alpharetta Sports and Entertainment Group had the opportunity to bring the Stanley Cup to the town green last week. And that was completely through Anson's group, but the city worked with them to get it here, and it sounded like it was a great turnout. I don't know how many folks were able to experience it, but it was hot that day, but we still had great attendance. The parking deck was apparently full. So we know that there's a lot of interest in certainly hockey here. But in terms of the North Point Mall itself, there's really no updates at this time.
Okay. So our last item on our agenda before we adjourn to discuss, does anybody have any other items that they'd like to discuss at this time? Seeing no items, we can move to adjournment. And we are adjourned at, I'm going to look at the clock here, 4:42 p.m. Thank you, everyone.